Hello guys, so today I'm gonna be cooking honey and sesame chicken, aka chicken balls, one of my favorite Chinese foods or snacks. So if you wanna get the ingredients, just pause it in this bit and then let's get straight into it. Here we go. So here are all the ingredients we're gonna need for the honey and sesame chicken. I'm gonna put all the measurements down below so you could see all the precise measurements. We're gonna start with the vinegar, honey, baking powder, tomato ketchup, coconut oil, self-raising flour, corn flour, table salt, half a cup of water times 2. So we're gonna need 1 cup overall. I'm using 410 grams of chicken, but I recommend 500, and 1 egg. So before we actually start, I just want to point out that there's actually 2 parts in cooking this honey sesame chicken. There's the first part, which we're gonna do in this bucket. We're gonna do the dry ingredients, and that's for the batter of the chicken. And part 2 will be for the sauce of the chicken. So once we've fried the chicken with the batter on it, we're gonna mix it with the sauce, and that's gonna be the honey sauce. So all the ingredients kind of overlap for both parts, so just watch out. Like some of the ingredients that we're gonna use for part 1 will be used for part 2 as well, so yeah, just watch out for that. So part 1 of this recipe is the dry ingredients. So we're gonna start off with the eggs. 1 egg, you only need 1 egg. Basically just mix everything, mix everything you need for the dry ingredients. Then a 1/4 cup of corn flour. Let's see if it's gonna focus. Come on. Basically just 1/4 of corn flour, half a cup of water, half a cup of water, next ingredient is 1 tablespoon of oil. I'm actually using coconut oil just because I want to watch out for what I eat, and coconut oil is kind of healthy. So 1 tablespoon of that into the mixture, but you could use like vegetable oil or sesame oil if you have some. You're also gonna need half a cup of self-raising flour. You could also add now your salt. Just a pinch of salt will do. No, sorry, that's a bit too much, but just put a bit of that in. Just pinch. That's enough. So that's basically for the dry ingredients. It's done. Now that we've done the dry ingredients, we're now gonna move on to part 2, which is the honey and sesame sauce. So these are all basically all the ingredients we're gonna need for this part. 1/3 cup of honey, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1 tablespoon of vinegar, a 1/2 tablespoon of ketchup. You could use any ketchup. 1/2 teaspoon of coconut oil. Again, you could use other oils, vegetable oils, extra virgin oil, whatever. 1 tablespoon of corn flour and 1/2 cup of water. So we're just gonna mix all these. Done both part 1, which are basically the dry ingredients, and part 2, which is the sauce. We're now gonna move on to frying, but before that we're gonna batter our 410 grams of chicken first, and yeah. So here's my first batch, and I usually deep fry my honey sesame chicken, but I'm using coconut oil as I said, so, and they're kind of expensive. But whenever I do deep fry my chicken, I usually buy like a really cheap bottle of vegetable oil, like probably under a pound of vegetable oil, and then I pour it in a saucepan, and that's when I do my deep frying. But right now I'm trying to be healthy, so yeah. When they're nice and golden brown like this, we can now move on to part 2, which is adding the honey sauce in. And when your chicken is cooked, it should look something like this, nice and golden brown. And we actually, like, before we actually move on to part 2, like adding the sauces in the chicken, like the honey sauce in the chicken, we actually need to take out the chicken from the frying pan and cook the sauce in first. But before we actually put in the sauce, I forgot to mention about adding garlic. So I'm putting about 10 cloves of garlic in mine, but you could get away with 4 to 5 cloves of garlic. This is an extremely important ingredient I forgot to mention, and I'm sorry for forgetting to mention it. Once the garlic is nice and brown, we add in the liquid ingredients. Which is like the honey mixture and corn flour and everything. Mix together. Once the sauce looks nice and thick like this, you start adding in the chicken back in the saucepan, so it can start cooking again. And then you mix. So when it's finished, guys, it should look something a bit like this. And for final touches, we're just now gonna add sesame seeds all over it. So that's my recipe for the honey and sesame chicken. I think it's Chinese style, but I'm not sure. It's either Chinese or Malaysian, so I'm gonna have to search the origin of this cuisine. So thank you for cooking honey and sesame chicken with me today. Please like this video, share it if you could, and please subscribe to my channel. And I'll see you again soon. Bye.